Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Confronting Evil. Tonight, all roads come together, and the face-off is about to begin. If you want to see how it all shakes loose, buckle your seatbelts. It's time for the exciting conclusion to Season 2 of Confronting Evil.
Seth, do you mind explaining what's going on here? Again?
Shyloh asked, looking directly at her children, Seth and Mackenzie.
Well, see, the thing is...
Huck began, but Shyloh interrupted him.
Was I talking to you, Huckleberry? I would like my children to answer if that's okay.
Mom, I'd like to explain everything, but we don't have time now.
Seth reasoned, knowing that Ariadne was behind him and in front of his mother, within earshot.
What? Her?
Shyloh asked. Ariadne raised her arm at the twins' mother, causing the group of them to move to protect her, but Shyloh rarely needed protection. Shyloh's trigger finger was obviously faster than the witch's conjurings.
Sea monsters, masked killers, vampires... It's gonna take more than a tiny redhead in a flamboyant and ugly-as-hell dress to stress me out. So what's next?
Shyloh asked.
Yeah, Seth, and what's up with your immunity to that bitch's magical powers?
Huck asked, still confused.
I have no idea. All I know is...
Wait, immunity to magical powers? Like all or just hers? What did you do, Seth?
Shyloh berated her son with questions, leaving Huck sorry he even asked at a time like this, and Mackenzie simply lowering her head and shaking it back and forth, snickering to herself about the irony of it all.
And you, Mackenzie? I haven't seen you since Christmas. Don't tell me you got something to tell me too, like you're pregnant or something.
What? God, no, Mom. Listen, now really isn't the time. We have to stop that thing that took me and our house, for that matter, last year. But he has Cash and his blue-eyed twin, and if we don't...
Mackenzie began, but Shyloh didn't need to hear another word. She simply pumped her shotgun and stared ahead, leading the group back to face the beast.
Let's go,
was the only thing she said to them. Shyloh stood in front of the small group that she had led to the clearing. A grotesque and ebon creature, tall and thin, one eye glowing red, stood above a small pit. Cash and Blue were nowhere to be seen, but the lot of them had a good idea of where they were. The thing spoke words foreign to them all, but Seth recognized a few of them as Sumerian.
Hey! You demonic piece of shit! What did you do with our friends?
Seth yelled out from adjacent to Shyloh.
So now my twin is your friend. Your alignment is severely skewed, but that darkness cultivated and growing inside you would demand as such, I suppose.
The beast stopped what it was doing and responded to Seth directly.
What darkness? What's he talking about, Seth?
Mackenzie whispered the words that everyone wanted to ask her brother. Shyloh turned her head at Seth and gave him a disapproving look, before turning to face the beast above the pit once more.
Listen, you're gonna back off right now and crawl back under whatever hole you've been hiding under, or you're gonna eat some lead.
Shyloh demanded.
That's right, you overgrown, humiliated raisin, and don't forget to leave my cousin behind while you skedaddle. Oh, you simple fools. It's already too late. See, I have temporarily given up my powers. Truly, I pose you no harm.
Oh yeah? Well, I'm not buying it. And besides, after what you've done to me, to Honey, to everyone else, you think we're going to let you go?
No, child. I didn't bind myself so that I could be relinquished to you and your primitive ideologies. I bound myself because of the effect it would have on my other half. I get it. That's why Blue Eye's been so weak. This thing's bound his powers along with his own.
Then that means we can kill him.
You'd think, but you're forgetting one thing.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Mackenzie said confidently. However, the thing didn't respond back. Instead, it seemed to simply continue staring at them, or rather behind them. The group of them spun around to see who it was that approached them, but it was already too late. Ariadne's first move was to lift Huck high into the air with an unseen power and toss his large form at Seth, toppling him to the ground and pinning him underneath his uncle. Unfortunately for Seth, Huck hit his head in the process, knocking him unconscious.
Damn it! Someone get him off me!
Seth yelled with a desperate wheeze, slowly being suffocated under Huck's girthy body.
There. That will keep you out of the way.
Ariadne said with confidence. Before anyone could react further, Ariadne lifted her hand into the air once more, simultaneously restraining Shyloh and Mackenzie where they stood. Mackenzie struggled against whatever it was that was holding her in place, the feeling of restraint, the dread of ominous evil hanging over her, and the dark visage of the thing before her, the thing that had killed Honey and had trapped her in that torment for months on end. Panic began to rise within her, until Mackenzie looked up and over at her mother. Shyloh wasn't getting any younger. Had to walk with a limp ever since stopping the amalgamate at Locust Lake, and surely wasn't as in the game as much as she used to be. But Shyloh was resolved, firm, and focused, a burning hatred at the red-eyed thing that even Mackenzie thought should make the creature nervous. Shyloh's resolve renewed Mackenzie's as well. Mackenzie thought quick and hard, but could not think of a way out of the mess that they were currently in, until she saw a hand reach up from out of the hole behind Red-Eye, and also now behind Ariadne, who had taken her stance beside her master. Mackenzie took her chance.
Hey, you fire-cracked nutjob! And you cyclopean humiliated plum!
Humiliated plum?
Yeah, 'cause you look like a fucking prune, all shriveled and gross. What the hell are you two up to anyway? You know you can't win.
Mackenzie asked in defiance. Ariadne looked to the creature for reassurance, and when it nodded its head in agreement, she spoke.
See, he wasn't lying. He is powerless at the moment. This being right here will become the new ruler of everything, in both this world and the next. How could I say no when he contracted me for my assistance? Especially since I've been promised a seat at his grand table. We had to incapacitate your friend, and his other half, so to speak, and the only way to do that was to bind him as well. But you see, now I will merge them together into their once former glory, and there is nothing you can do to stop us. You supplied everything. The place the ritual had to be performed, the power to open the rift, the power to merge them together, and the vessel in which it will reside.
Ariadne explained, but Mackenzie smiled.
No, you're wrong. And we will stop you. Just, whatever you do, don't look down.
Mackenzie said, causing both the witch and the beast to look down at their feet, just in time to see Blue Eye's hand reach out and grip Ariadne by the ankles. Both gasped, but it was too late, as the man pulled Ariadne by the legs, causing her to faceplant and lose her focus. Mackenzie and Shyloh dropped to the ground and quickly stood to rush to Huck's and Seth's aid, lifting Huck off of the very out-of-breath Seth and raising Huck to consciousness.
Powerless, huh?
Blue Eye smiled at his red-eyed half as he climbed up out of the pit and simply walked right by him, knowing that he was just as powerless. By the time that Ariadne rose to her feet and brushed herself off, The group was heading back into the thick nearby tree line. She moved a single step to follow, but was gripped by the arm of the beast, who looked down and pointed to an unconscious Cash still lying in the pit. Ariadne pulled a long feather pen from inside the bodice of her dress and smiled. Nothing would stop them. Seth, Mackenzie, Huck, Shyloh, and Blue Eye quickly made it to the Torino and crammed themselves inside before Mackenzie peeled off down the road, fleeing as fast as she could so that they could regroup and come up with a new plan of attack.
I'm gonna kill that son of a bitch if it's the last thing I do.
Mackenzie growled in a deep-seated rage.
I second that, but how?
Huck added.
I still don't have my powers, meaning that my counterpart is still bound by the witch.
Blue spoke up.
How do we go up against magic like that? How are we gonna help my cousin?
Huck asked pleadingly.
We can do it. I went up against Locust Lake who knows how many times, and here I am. Though, it does look like that point is completely moot.
Shyloh grumbled, looking over at her son.
Sorry.
Seth began, saying that he had to, but was interrupted.
Had to? You had to risk bringing back a curse that has killed hundreds of people? You had to risk bringing back a curse that nearly prevented you from ever existing in the first place? Really? What were you thinking?
Shyloh scolded her son.
Busted.
Mackenzie teased her brother.
And you're driving headlong into things, and that has to stop, Mackenzie. I go away with Gunner for a little time away from all this, and when I come back, shit's hit the fan.
Shyloh growled at her daughter.
He's fine. Can we just find a way to stop this guy?
Mackenzie attempted to defuse the situation.
How's Gunner doing?
Seth asked.
He's doing well. He's actually back at the house waiting for me, so let's get this over with.
Shyloh replied with determination.
I know some spells from the book. I don't know if there'll be any match for her, but I could give it a shot.
Seth suggested.
No!
Both Mackenzie and Shyloh blurted out in the same instance.
That's what got us into this mess in the first place. We don't know what might happen.
Mackenzie argued.
Now you're against the book? You didn't have anything to say when I brought you back.
Yeah, well, I didn't ask you to.
Mackenzie growled, causing an uncomfortable silence to wash over everyone in the vehicle.
We need gas.
Seth said quietly before turning to look out the window, hurt by the thought of what his sister had just said. Mackenzie pulled over at the nearest gas station, a few miles down the road of their former home, and Seth immediately got out to use the restroom inside. Huck and Blue Eye went inside to get munchies and pay for the gas that Mackenzie began pumping.
It was a really stupid and foolhardy thing your brother did.
Shyloh said to Mackenzie as she pumped the gas.
You're telling me.
But I would have done the same thing. Hell, when you were gone and I thought you were dead, I looked for a way to bring you back, but I couldn't find anything. But Seth did. Seth didn't give up, and yeah, the way he did it was really, really stupid, but that doesn't change the fact that I would have done the same thing. So go easy on your brother, okay?
Shyloh explained, getting a nod of understanding from her daughter, followed by a hug. Mackenzie wouldn't let anyone see that side of her in public, but aside from her brother, her mom was her best friend. Huck gave the teller 320s and told him what pump they were at before he led Blue Eye into the snack aisle. He grabbed some potato chips, some snack cakes, and a bunch of various other treats, making sure to grab a handful of sour gummies because they were Cash's favorite and he wanted to have them for when he was rescued.
What is all of this?
Blue asked.
Oh my God, you've never had any of this?
Huck asked in shock before realizing that he's probably never even had food for that matter, much less gas station snack food. Blue simply shook his head.
Oh boy, are you in for a life-changing experience?
Huck said with glee after grabbing a few more of his favorites to share with his friend. While the two of them gathered treats to gorge themselves, Seth stood on the dirty bathroom floor, staring at himself in the mirror. He questioned whether or not he'd made the right choice, if he'd caused more harm than good.
What the hell are we gonna do?
Seth asked himself into the mirror.
I think I could help you with that.
A familiar voice spoke from behind Seth.
Jesus Christ!
Seth yelled out as he spun around, with a stance ready to fight, only to find Kramer smirking at him with that devious, half-sinister smile.
Kramer! Don't you know how to knock? There's certain places where you can't just pop in unannounced.
Seth objected.
Watch your choice of words, friend. But honestly, the dead, and both the infernal and the angelic, spend a lot of time watching the living in all sorts of places. You'd be surprised, and frankly, it can be rather stalkery. I'm not here for that. I'm here to offer you a deal of sorts. More of a gift, I would say.
He then offered.
I've already made myself too close for comfort to your demonic dealings. I'm not making any deals,
Seth said before he tried to leave.
Great alteration, my friend. But I can help you with more than your witty grammar.
Kramer joked at Seth, but Seth paid him no mind and continued for the door.
I can enhance your magical abilities. No strings attached.
Kramer blurted out fairly quickly, trying to stop Seth before he exited the restroom. Seth stopped, his back still turned to Kramer. Everything in him told him to keep going, but instead, he stopped to listen.
They told me there was a darkness in you, Seth. I heard it, and I felt it. It is there indeed. It draws darkness to you. The damned attract the damned. I can help you grow stronger. I can help you gain the abilities to, maybe, suppress it.
Kramer suggested in an attempt to convince Seth to agree to his terms.
No strings attached?
Seth asked.
I assure you that I will not gain anything directly from doing this. I simply want to help you, because after he is done with you, he will come for the throne of hell. And, to be quite honest, none of us want that.
Kramer explained. Seth stood there for a moment and pondered the idea before deciding on an answer.
No deal.
Seth answered with a sigh before once again reaching for the door.
Well, if you change your mind, you know where to find me.
Kramer offered before vanishing as quickly as he had come, leaving Seth at the door.
Hope it's not another gas station restroom.
Seth joked to himself before exiting.
Damn, you guys got all kinds of goodies.
Mackenzie said as Huck and Blue returned.
Ooh, got any moon pies?
She then asked excitedly, prompting Huck to toss her a package.
What's a moon pie? I don't think lunar regolith would taste very good.
Blue Eyes said in confusion.
What?
Mackenzie asked.
What's he talking about?
She questioned further, looking over at Huck, who was tossing an armful of snacks into the back seat.
It's moon dust,
Seth answered as he approached the Torino.
Oh, no, Blue. It's not a literal pie of moon dust. It's a marshmallow pie.
Huck explained, but Blue Eye was still clueless.
Here, try one,
Huck said, opening a package and giving the treat to Blue. Everyone watched as he took a bite, his eyes lighting up immediately.
It's heavenly,
Blue Eyes said with glee as he continued to eat the snack.
He's never had any of this,
Huck explained to the other two.
What? He's not messing with us again?
Mackenzie questioned in astonishment.
Wow.
Shyloh spoke with amazement.
Oh boy. He's gonna have fun with that.
Seth said, deciding not to tell anyone about his visit from Kramer, at least not for the time being anyway. It was then they heard squealing tires and turned to find Huck's RV spinning around the corner before squealing to a stop at the gas station.
Crap. Oh crap, oh crap.
Cash rambled as he busted out of the camper door.
Holy shit!
Seth said with surprise.
Cash? How did you get out of there?
Mackenzie asked, happy to see her friend.
Oh, am I glad to see you, Sue?
Huck yelled out.
Cash?
He corrected himself.
No time. We gotta go. She's right behind me.
Cash cried out in a panic. Huck grabbed what snacks he could and took Blue along with him as the blue-eyed man ate his first beef jerky stick. Together, they hopped into the RV with Cash, which then peeled off down the road, leaving Seth, Mackenzie, and Shyloh to follow in the Torino shortly after. As the two vehicles sped down the road, the flying form of Ariadne came into view, a storm raging behind her, azure-hued lightning striking the road as she swiftly pursued them.
There is no escaping this. The ritual will be finished. You've already lost.
Ariadne roared before she redirected the lightning bolts from the storm around her to arc and change course. Mackenzie expertly pulled the wheel from one side to the other, dodging every blast with the Torino. Some of them were by mere inches, causing the car to be pushed to one side or the other, nearly making it lose control, but Mackenzie kept going like a professional behind the wheel.
Can I get a little help here, Seth?
Mackenzie requested, where he turned to his mother in the back seat and requested a pair of guns from his bag, where she retrieved a pair of Berettas to give him. He passed one to his sister, then rolled down the window so that he could lean out and fire backward at the witch in pursuit of them, and his sister did much of the same, firing backward at the witch.
Take the wheel, Mom,
Mackenzie yelled as she leaned out the driver's side window, giving her a better vantage on Ariadne. Shyloh grabbed the wheel and shifted herself into position, taking her daughter's place behind the wheel and keeping the Torino between the RV and the witch, making themselves the only line of defense for the occupants of the camper ahead of them. Meanwhile, in Huck's RV, Blue Eye was still gorging himself on junk food. He was without his abilities, and there wasn't really anything that he could do. So instead, he found comfort in scarfing down as much as he could.
Faster! She's right behind us!
Cash yelled out.
This thing can only go so fast, Sue. I don't want us to topple over.
Huck yelled back at his cousin as he maneuvered the RV with expert precision and avoided all the chaos around them, dodging lightning bolts just as Mackenzie was doing so behind them. The twins continued to fire upon Ariadne as she quickly gained speed, coming closer to them. A swirling storm of purple and blue boiling in the air behind her, lightning lashing out and cracking down onto the pavement or through the air toward her targets. They were getting desperate for a break because nothing they were doing was working at all, until Seth finally made a split-moment decision. He reached back once more and retrieved the backpack from beside Shyloh, where he found the book and flipped it open.
Seth?
Shyloh questioned her son.
What are you doing?
Mackenzie asked with concern.
I have to, Mackenzie. I have no other choice.
Seth explained to her.
Seth, no!
Mackenzie objected, but her brother didn't listen. He flipped through the book and found the passage that he was looking for.
What? Seth, don't!
Shyloh commanded, but it was no use. Despite her protests and attempts to stop her son, there was nothing that she could do in that moment.
Shanta, Iska, Baumne, Shakarash, Maligne!
Seth yelled as he leaned out the window, pointing his outstretched hand directly toward the witch. A silver, glowing flame sparkled at his fingertips before the fires combined and swirled around each other to form a spiraling serpentine shape as a snake of pure energy slithered outward from his hand where the head struck, biting down upon Ariadne's torso and coiling around her, sending her toppling onto the pavement where she crashed and rolled upon the ground.
Yes! I got her!
Seth cheered, but his celebration did not last long. The RV ahead of them made a sharp turn, and the upper weight of the camper was too much, causing the vehicle to flip over, where it rolled several times, violently crushing the camper's living area inward before it finally came to rest on its side. Shyloh slammed her foot down on the brakes to avoid crashing into the overturned RV.
Oh shit.
Mackenzie said in a panic, scrambling the rest of the way out of the window and rushing to the RV.
Oh God, no!
Seth said, scared for his friends, as he too rushed to their aid.
Please be okay.
Shyloh begged as she threw the door open and climbed out of the Torino. They found Huck crawling out of the smashed-out windshield of the camper, his arms pulling him through the bits of broken glass.
Oh my god, Uncle Huck, are you okay?
Mackenzie yelled out as she and her mother rushed to help him.
Where's Cash and Blue?
Seth said, looking around for the other two.
Up here.
Cash spoke, his voice sounding different than before. The three of them looked up to find Cash holding a struggling Blue Eye, a quilled pen held against his neck, ready to be driven in at any moment.
What the hell's going on?
Mackenzie asked.
I've told you, my dear. You've already lost. You all played your parts just as planned.
Ariadne informed her as she passed her by and hovered up on top of the camper with the other two.
The transfer was already a success. Now we just need to seal the deal.
Cash said with a sinister smile.
No, stop!
Mackenzie yelled, attempting to shoot Ariadne, but her bullets simply bounced off of some unseen force. Shyloh, too, tried her hand at shooting the witch, but the bullets were useless against the centuries-old practitioner of dark magic. Ariadne bound Blue in place with a glowing cobalt-colored force around each arm, holding them outstretched and upward, preceded by Cash, handing her the quill. She in turn handed him something as well, something furry and long. It was something all too familiar to Mackenzie, as it spent a period of time inside her, changing her. It was the belt that had cursed her and her family. The belt was placed onto Cash's chest, where it was drawn into him, his flesh separating as the belt slipped its way inside his core. Ariadne then moved to Blue once more, where she pushed the silver-hued serpentine energy into his chest, causing him to struggle and scream in pain, his flesh separating to allow the energy to flow into him. She then moved to his side and drove the sharp point of the pen into Blue's outstretched wrist, and the blood began to flow from it. He was mortal now. As the group of them screamed and pleaded in an attempt to save their friend, the quill was then handed to Cash, who pushed the sharp tip into his own flesh to further wet it with the sanguine fluid, where it was then used to write out some strange symbol within a circle, drawing it out in mid-air upon no surface but the molecules in the air itself. And then it happened. The trio watched as the life force was pulled out of one friend and into another, leaving nothing but an empty husk of a human shell that Blue had once been. Skin sunken inward and clinging to bone, as if all the moisture had evaporated from his body.
No!
Seth yelled out.
Blue!
Mackenzie cried. The beast had reassembled itself, taking all of its power back, while leaving the one thing that it felt as a weakness that had separated them in the first place, the warmth of humanity that was Blue, now a lifeless form upon the ground. They had failed to stop it from happening. They'd failed to save Cash. They'd failed to save Chad, and they'd failed to save Honey. They watched a bright light shoot out all around Cash's body as he began to convulse and shake before he finally went still, his eyes rolling back into his head as he gazed upward toward the sky with a look of bliss upon his face. His eyes then clouded over, and he returned his gaze back to the three beneath him, before finally his eyes cleared once more to reveal that now one of them was red, the other one was blue. He told them that he was their Lord, their God. A new age had come, and that he was there to cleanse, to conquer, to consume. that he's come to open the way, that he was the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, and his name was Iridus.
Consume this!
Shyloh growled before sending a shotgun blast into the direction of the demon, but instead of tearing through flesh, the pellets of buckshot were frozen in place and superheated into a blinding white light in an instant before the flash of energy let out a boom. When suddenly, Mackenzie, Seth, and Huck all found themselves splashing down into the swamp water miles down the road.
Did we get him?
Huck asked, confused as to what happened, not even realizing that his cousin had killed his friend and was now possessed by a demonic spirit.
We lost.
Mackenzie said in shock, sitting up on her knees in the shallow water.
No, Huck. I don't think we did. And where's Mom? Mom!
Seth yelled. All of them looked around, scanning the area for Shyloh. No one knew if she'd been thrown somewhere else by the blast, vaporized, or simply taken along with Iridus when the beast left.
No. Mom? Mom?
Mackenzie began calling out frantically.
It's okay. We're gonna find her.
Huck reasoned with the both of them, doing his best to be strong for those he considered family. Seth simply sat there in the mud, looking down at his reflection in the murky water, where he pondered what to do next. He knew they had to become stronger to face whatever it was that was coming their way. He knew that they would have to pull out all the stops if they were going to defeat Iridus and get his mother back. And he knew exactly who he needed to talk to.
Well, it seems that not everything always goes the way of the good guy, and now things may be worse than when we all started. How will Seth and Mackenzie manage with all that they have lost, and push forward to recover whatever they can? You'll all have to wait for when Confronting Evil returns this fall.
Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.